it's Raimi, and today I am doing a super fun video, and I got the idea from a few different creators on YouTube. I am going to be tier ranking all 30 books that I have read this year. A few of them I did DNF, but most of them, 27 of them, I fully finished, fully read, and I'm super excited to do this video because it's almost May, so it's been a while since I've read a few of these books, and I'm just super curious to know, like, now that I've had a little bit of distance, now that I've had a little bit of time between a lot of these books, where I sit with them, really, like how I feel about them. So yeah, let's get into the video. Okay, so we have our tiers. At the very bottom, we have no, nope, no thank you, and that tier is gonna be books that I'm like, didn't need to read, didn't enjoy reading. I mean, it's no, nope, no thank you. The one right above that is I read that, and those are for books that I couldn't really tell you what they're about, couldn't tell you. The next tier above that is I Could Do Without, which is a book that is just like meh, you know? The next tier is enjoyed it, glad it's over. And then the tier above that is loved it, glad I read it. So that's those two tiers are gonna be like my 3.5, 4 stars, like kind of area. And then the top tier is this book has my whole heart, because this book has my whole heart, okay? Pretty self-explanatory, but I just wanted to briefly go over that so we know what our tiers are, and I'm very excited to get started. They inputted my images into alphabetical order, so I guess we're just gonna go in alphabetical order. It's not the order that I read them, but that's okay. The first book is called A Good Marriage. This book was a book club book, and I DNF'd it, I wanna say like 40% of the way through. That was on me. I did not check trigger warnings, which I highly recommend doing before you read a book. But unfortunately, I did DNF this book, and I say unfortunately because I really liked the writing. The writing style, Kimberly McKnight's writing, Kimberly McWright's writing was really good. I really enjoyed the part of the story that I did read, and then it got into a territory where I was like, no, I don't want that, I don't need that, no thank you. So we're gonna be putting A Good Marriage into no, nope, no thank you. Next, we have Accidentally Amy by Lynn Painter, which I love Lynn Painter. This year, I've been reading a few of her other books. The first book that I read of hers was, what is it called? I read it last year. Better Than the Movies. Thank you. Oh my gosh, brain. So I really loved that, and I was like, I want to read some of her other books. And so I listened to Accidentally Amy via audiobook, and I think I gave this one a 2 stars. I really did not enjoy this book. I just thought the plot was meh. The characters, meh. The whole book just felt very unnecessary. So unfortunately, I'm also going to put Accidentally Amy in no, nope, no thank you. Was debating between I Could Do Without and no, nope, no thank you. We're gonna put Accidentally Amy and I Could Do Without, because I did read it, finished it. I could definitely have done without reading it. A Court of Mist and Fury. Oh my gosh, I love this book so much. I think I gave ACOMAF a 5 out of 5, whereas I gave ACOTAR a 4 out of 5. Okay, I'm gonna do ACOMAF at This Book Has My Whole Heart, because truly, truly, I love this book so much. And this is one of those series where I'm on the 3rd book right now. I'm on ACOWAR, and I already want to reread the series. I want to just annotate the literal crap out of these books. Next, we have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. And for this book, I'm gonna do Loved It, Glad I Read It, because I did not quite love it as much as ACOMAF. Ooh, Curse of the Wolf King. This book was so surprising to me. I loved this book. I don't know why I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did, but I truly loved it. And I think it was because I wasn't sure if a retelling was gonna be my vibe, but loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it so much. I really, really want to read more of her books, so I'm gonna slot this into Loved It, Glad I Read It. Daisy Jones and the Six. I just recently finished this book, and I have not stopped thinking about this book, and not necessarily in a good way. The book was a lot, okay? This was the first Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I read, and the story, the characters, everything was immaculate. I haven't read a book that fast in a very long time, and it mostly was like I just had to see how it concludes because I was just like everything is a mess. I just was like, oh my, like it gave me a lot of anxiety reading, just like based on what the characters were doing and what was happening between the characters. It gave me so much anxiety. So for that reason, like, I think I might have given it a 4 out of 5, just purely based on the storytelling, the characters, the writing, all of that was so incredible. But like the enjoyability of the book was low for me, but the quality of the book was so high for me. So I think I'm going to slot this one into enjoyed it, glad it's over, because I am kind of glad it's over. It gave me a lot of anxiety. So next we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This book was so interesting to me because it was marketed to me as a cozy fantasy, but to my knowledge, which correct me if I'm wrong, comment down below, I thought that cozy fantasy, part of it was like low stakes and not having any sort of death or gore. This book definitely had death and gore and felt like relatively high stakes to me. I mean, not to like the capacity of like A Court of Thorns and Roses or Dance of Thieves, but definitely had higher stakes than Legends and Lattes, which is really the only other cozy fantasy I had to compare it to. But I was a little surprised. I had made a couple comments over on Instagram being like, I don't understand how I can like love this book and simultaneously also be very bored by this book. But also like I loved the story and I loved the characters. So I think I just have to slot it and loved it, glad I read it, because I am. Like I loved it and I'm glad I read it. Next is going to be How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories. This book was cool. I'm gonna say loved it, glad I read it, because I did like getting a little bit more of another character's perspective. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Harry Potter and the Goblet of freaking Fire. Okay, this book has my whole heart. Wow, 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 wow. I have always been a lover of the movies. I've just never read the books. And so it was time for me to start reading the series, and the Goblet of Fire was the book that I was looking forward to the most because it is my favorite movie. Getting to read and get more in depth and even like seeing how the story differed from the movie that I know and love was amazing. I cried through the book. It was beautiful, loved it, amazing, literally has my whole heart. So I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. This was one of the books that I DNF'd. I got about 45% of the way through, and I didn't DNF it because I didn't like it. I DNF'd it because I just couldn't handle it. I am so proud of Jennette and I have so much respect for her and the fact that she was able to write all of this down, put it out there in the world, tell her story, and I just, wow, I am blown away. Hearing her narrate, because I originally downloaded it via audiobook, hearing her narrate these things and the fact that she was even able to record and talk through the things that she was talking about is just incredible and shows her strength as a person. Unfortunately, I did DNF the book, so I am going to slot this into enjoyed it, glad it's over, because the parts of it that I did listen to were written very well. I think she was very articulate. We have Legends and Lattes, which was the other cozy fantasy that I recently read. I think I'm gonna slot this into loved it, glad I read it, because I really enjoyed the story. I understand why people like cozy fantasy now. It was very nice and very relaxing to sit there and read Legends and Lattes. I felt like it was a great palate cleanser between some of my really intense fantasies that I've been reading. Mad About You, that's one of those that I think I might slot into the I read that category. The only thing that I really remember from this book is that I thought that it was going to be a romance and it wasn't. It was more of just like a literary fiction, which doesn't mean that it was bad. And I think I rated it like a 3 or 4 stars because I enjoyed the book while I was listening to it, but I really could not give you any qualifying details about it. So I think I'm gonna slot that into I read that. Next, we have Morabito. And I enjoyed this book. I would say, I did enjoy it, but I wouldn't say I loved it. But I am glad it's over. It took me a while to read it because I was kind of going slow because it was a little boring at times. I really liked the main character and the kid's relationship that she's protecting, the whole point of the story. So I think I'm gonna say enjoyed it, glad it's over. Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. I thought this one was cute. I liked this way more than Accidentally Amy. Yeah, I don't know if I love her adult romances as much as her young adult romances. I think I'm gonna slot it into enjoyed it, glad it's over. Alice Feeney Rock, Paper, Scissors. Oh my gosh. This book I finished so fast because I had to know what was happening. I had to know what was going on. I would like to read another Alice Feeney book because I really enjoyed Rock, Paper, Scissors. I think I'm gonna say loved it, glad I read it. I think I rated it like a 4.5 out of 5. Very, very interesting mystery thriller. Very different from others that I've read. Song of Silver, Flame Like Night. I was so hyped on this book and I was so excited. It was my first art copy that I ever got. And I don't know if maybe that's partly me that I kind of built it up a little bit in my head, but I definitely was disappointed by this book. I think the magic system was incredible. The magic system was so interesting and so unique and so different, but I didn't really connect with the two main characters. I think that I'm going to move this book into I Could Do Without. We have The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, and I know right away this is going into enjoyed it, glad it's over. I listened to it via audiobook because I tried for a very long time to read the physical book and I only got like 20 pages in like 2 weeks. So one of my best friends recommended doing it via audiobook and I was like, yes, thank you. So I downloaded it, listened to it, and I did enjoy it while I was listening to it, but wow, was there so much going on in this book and I probably didn't even catch half of it. And I am very glad it's over. Okay, next we have The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams, and I really liked this book. I'm gonna put this in loved it, glad I read it. I thought this was very cute. This is the only sports romance that I've ever read, and I liked the fact that I didn't feel like I was reading a football game the entire time. It was way more romance, the relationship, everything that was going on around the sport. Next, we have The Cruel Prince. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. You guys know, if you have been watching any of my past videos, I cannot shut up about The Cruel Prince. I will not stop talking about The Cruel Prince. I love this book with my entire whole heart. So naturally, this is going into This Book Has My Whole Heart. Wow, I just love this book so much. If there was a tier above This Book Has My Whole Heart, that is where The Cruel Prince would be. Next, we have The Enemy by Sarah Adams. I did just recently finish this book. This one might fall into I read that because I really, like, there's a little bit that I could tell you. Like, I know that the main character owns a bakery and it's like enemies to lovers, but really, I don't know if I could tell you anything else about it. So I think I'm gonna put that into I read that. Next is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, the classic. I had never read it, so I finally read it this year and I really enjoyed it. It was a little hard to get through. The writing style is very different from my preferred writing style, but I really enjoyed the story. So The Hobbit is going into loved it, glad I read it. We have The Littlest Library, which this book, I think we're gonna do enjoyed it, glad it's over, because I didn't think it was a bad book, but I also didn't think it was a great book. Okay, next we have The Lost Sisters, which is a novella in the Cruel Prince series or the Folk of the Air series. And this one I'm gonna say loved it, glad I read it. I liked hearing from another character's point of view. I'm always down for that. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And now we have Off Limits Ruled by Sarah Adams. This one is 100% going into I read that because I could not tell you anything about this book other than that the main character is a hairdresser. So that is in I read that because I can't believe I read that because I don't remember. Next we have The Queen of Nothing. Also, this book has my whole heart. This is the conclusion to the Folk of the Air series and wow, just rip it out and take it because it was so good. It was so freaking good. I love this series so much. I love this book so much. I might as well just slot The Wicked King in there as well because same thing. The Wicked King, the cliffhanger, oh my freaking goodness, talk about a cliffhanger. The Stolen Heir. See, this one's interesting to me because I didn't love it as much as the Cruel Prince series or the Folk of the Air series, but no, I have to put it in Loved It Glad I Read It because it's not quite there. It's not quite there. I really loved being back in the world. I loved reading a story about Oak when he was older, but no, it wasn't quite there, if you get what I'm saying. So next we have The Temporary Roomie. This is another one that I DNF'd. I really like listening to Sarah Adams books via audiobook because they're just very easy listenings. I find them very interesting when I'm driving or doing stuff. They hold my attention without being too much is going on, if that makes sense. But this one, I don't know. The narrators were just, whoa, no. And I don't know, the dialogue that was happening between the characters was so scripted, like so unnatural dialogue that I was like, no, which was very strange to me because I truly love Sarah Adams writing. So we're putting this under no, nope, no thank you. Next we have, I'm just gonna do these two because they're kind of part of a series. We have the first one, which is To Con a Gentleman, and the second one, which is To Catch a Suitor. And both of these are gonna go into Love It Glad I Read It because these two by Sarah Adams I thought were so fun. They're kind of historical romance and they kind of take place in, I think it's the Regency period, which is like kind of like Bridgerton. They were just so fun. I loved, like, because Sarah Adams does banter so well, and so kind of having a little bit of like a modernized banter. To Catch a Suitor was not quite as enjoyable as To Con a Gentleman, only because it definitely was based off of one of my least favorite tropes, which is the miscommunication trope. The characters are truly what made that book, and some of the things that they go through, the healing that happens is really sweet. I definitely teared up during To Catch a Suitor. I cried during both of them. Those are the 30 books that I read / DNF'd. A couple of them, yes, I did DNF. This was so much fun. Like, I truly enjoyed this. Long story short, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd be curious to know what your top reads of the year have been so far, what you guys are reading and enjoying. I always love getting book recommendations. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Happy reading. Bye.